I walked into the kitchen, I smiled, and I said, "Good morning." This man looked me dead in my face and didn't say a single word. My name is Kendall Hart. I am a 25-year-old engineer, and since we're on the topic of microaggressions, here's my contribution. Dismissal. Dismissiveness is absolutely 1,000% a microaggression, and arguably the most frequent one that I've experienced while working in corporate America. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've been cut off, intentionally left out of conversations, or just straight up ignored. And before y'all think I'm being dramatic, let me give a few examples. So I have been a Black woman in the industry for years now, right? There have been countless times where I could be talking to somebody and there's another person there as well, and the person I'm talking to will direct all of their eye contact, conversation, words towards the other person and not me. It's so blatant. And the part that kills me is I could even be the one asking the question and they will turn and direct all of their answers and everything towards the other person. And I'm just like, he wasn't even talking to you. It was me that was talking to you. Like, what? There have been times where I walk out to a job site with somebody else and they immediately direct all of their questions and concerns and comments towards the other person. I went out to the job site with an intern. I go out, I introduce myself. "Hi, I'm Kendall. I'm the mechanical engineer on the job. This is Bill. This is what we're gonna be doing, blah, blah, blah." Mind you, he doesn't know that this person is an intern, like the hierarchy, but he just assumes that this person is in charge and I'm irrelevant. And for the duration of the visit, he directed all his questions, comments, concerns to the intern. And I'm like, he's 19. Why are you only talking to him and not me? He cannot answer your questions. What about me being extremely vocal, extremely knowledgeable, and him being completely mute and just observing gave you the impression that I was a subordinate? And lastly, the worst one, but unfortunately probably the most frequent one, is getting straight up ignored. And I remember the first time that this happened to me. I walked into the kitchen, I smiled, and I said, "Good morning." This man looked me dead in my face and didn't say a single word. I was shook to my core because I was certain that he heard me, but that was the first of many. And after that, it kind of just became normal. And it's gotten to the point where now I'm not surprised by it. But all of that to say, this absolutely is a microaggression that needs to be talked about. But on the flip side, if you're somebody that has experienced this, never let it make you feel like you don't belong. All of these times that this has happened to me, I've literally just brushed it off. I'm not gonna let it dictate my positive outlook or change my mood. I'm still gonna have manners. I'm still gonna speak to people with kindness, and I'm still gonna be inclusive. Just remember that this behavior is a reflection of them and not you, okay? Bye.
You want to throw cash? I'm gonna throw cash right back at you. Get ready with me for work while I tell you all the time a customer threw cash at me. First off, happy Thursday, y'all. We literally have one more day and I couldn't be happier. I woke up with a fat pimple right here. So this happened at my old job when I worked at Bath and Body Works for 3 years. 6 years ago, which is insane, me saying that out loud. It was a very busy day. If you ever went in Bath and Body Works, you know, like whenever there's like a big sale going on, there's like these huge ass lines, so they needed extra backup on cash. I kid y'all not, if I'm not mistaken, the line was from cash all the way to the entrance coming into the store, if I'm not mistaken. So let me try and explain this as best as I can, but they separated the customers into like, I think 3 or 4 groups. So like 2 or 3 cashiers grab from this line, the next the next cashier grabs from this line, like they made the lines like that, and they would like say, okay, you guys go to this cashier, you guys, right? It was partially my fault. It was my fault, like, because I was pulling from the wrong line basically. I wasn't telling the customer like, okay, you come, right? I was cashing customers out so freaking fast. That's the fastest I ever worked on cash. If you ever want to work at Bath and Body Works, I feel like it sets you up for any retail store. Like, I was like the fastest one. I was just cashing. I wasn't even looking up like next customer, like calling a customer over like to come to me. They were just coming to me. Cash the next person out. Okay, have a good day. Next. And I would look up for a split second, and whoever came to me, I would just cash them out. But whoever in my line, they weren't even moving. Like, other customers were coming from the next people line over there, and they were coming to me. Like, they were like, holy shit, this girl's moving fast. So they scurried their legs to me. 2 lines in front of me, no one was like moving. Like, I was wondering why. I'm like, just come to my line. Like, in my head, I'm like, just move your legs. But they were just like too slow, or they were scared, or I don't know what. But like, I cashed a few customers that weren't in my line. And then finally a lady with her kid came to me. This is where it gets juicy. But anyways, finally a lady with her kid comes to me from my line, fucking pissed. Like, she's pissed off. She's like, what are you doing? Like, you're supposed to be pulling people from this line and our line's not even moving. You're pulling people from the other line. And I was looking at her, I'm like, you can walk and move. Like, you can come to my line. Like, I didn't know I need to call people over. Just come, right? And she's going off on me, and she's like, as she's there, like, she's dashing her products, like whatever she bought from her basket, she's like, here, like, being fucking rude. I'm like, hey, that's where you're being disrespectful. I'm talking back to her rude. I'm like, and I'm trying to explain myself, and her daughter is there right beside her, and her daughter's like looking away, all embarrassed and shit. Like, she knows her mom was doing the fucking most. Now, let me just do my mascara because I'm gonna poke myself in my eye. Just told her the total. I'm like, hey, yeah. I told her the total or whatever. Literally pulled her cash out from her wallet and threw it at me. The like 2 coins hit like up top of like my chest area, and then some cash fell on the floor. It was thrown at me. My coworkers beside me was just staring at her, and they were all scared. They were like, ew! I was in the wrong, I admit that, but you do not need to be acting like that. You can say I want to, but like, if you're gonna be disrespectful, I'm gonna be disrespectful back. What am I doing? I need to tie my hair back. Like, at this point, my supervisor comes over to me. I'm opening the register to give her back her change. She was like, what's going on? So I'm taking out the cash to give her, but I'm explaining to my supervisor like what's going on. And then after, my supervisor like was like, oh, like, she was all shocked and shit. She's like, oh, okay. Like, not in her face, but I just dashed it like near her. You guys, I left out the most important part. I don't know how, but as I'm editing this, I remembered when I threw that cash at her, y'all. She literally picked it up and she was trying to hand it back to me. And mind you, she was talking so loudly and so rudely and literally screaming. But she was handing it back to me. She's like, give this back to me in the right way. And then she looked at my supervisor and she's like, who did you guys hire? Who did you guys hire? You guys need to fire her. Like, I don't know how I forgot that. My supervisor's like, okay, let's not do that. But I'm like, no, she's being disrespectful. And I was like talking to my supervisor like that. I'm like, no, I'm not having it. You want to throw cash? I'm gonna throw cash right back at you. So then after, I went to the back room and I think I cried in the washroom. 100% I cried. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be on cash anymore. Just the story. Retail is literally not for the weak. And yeah, you just meet a lot of interesting people, and day by day you realize how annoying customers can be. And whenever I'm shopping, I try not to be that type of person to the workers because I know how it is. I have so much more story times. Let me know if y'all want more. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Get ready with me while I tell you a story time about a compulsive liar that I used to work with. To the point they lied about their entire life, the way that they looked. Now, this story time was actually not that long ago. It's based around the beginning of this year. So it wasn't that long ago. But if you are the person that I'm speaking about today, I literally mean absolutely no disrespect to you whatsoever if you find this on your For You page or on your feed. And if you guys know who I'm talking about, don't put it in the comments, thank you. Now, as you guys know, I say this quite often, I have a real life channel and I also have a gaming channel. This story is to do with like my gaming channel. So there was this girl that used to help me film my YouTube videos. I can't remember how I found her, but I'm pretty sure she just like sent in an application, because I do have like applications for people to help me with those videos. And I thought she was really good. She joined, we became friends, and for a long time it was great. She was one of the best people that I worked with. Like, she was one of the top. No red flags or anything, but then obviously the people that I work with are very much my friends. So sometimes when I'd be like doing my work or like be editing a video, I, you know, might be on like a work call to give the people that I work with a preview and things like that. So I was on one of these like preview work calls. Like, I'm pretty sure I was editing, but you know, it was public so they could see, so they got a preview of the outcome of the product that we just made. Now obviously I've been doing this for a long time, so I find it quite quite easy to multitask, so like I can edit and speak to people at the same time. So it was kind of just having like a general conversation, and the boy that I was seeing at the time was from North London. Okay, so we were just kind of discussing like the plans we all had for our week, and you know, obviously I brought up in conversation like the guy that I'm seeing, like, you know, I'm like taking public transport like so much more than I used to now because of where the boy that I was seeing lived. Now as we're having this conversation, she just randomly asks me, what lines do you take? Now, for anyone who doesn't understand what she means by that, basically when you take public transport in London, there's different train lines, okay? So then I was like, I guess like Piccadilly and Victoria, and I was like, why is that? She was like, oh, because yeah, like I play for Arsenal. Now, although that seems like kind of like a weird thing to come out with, I am a big football fan myself. I was probably speaking about football at some point, so I think maybe that's why she mentioned. And you know, I'm pretty sure she's the same age as me or the year below. This is what I mean. I don't know. We don't know what was the truth with this girl. But I'm pretty sure she's around my age. And I actually know a boy that plays for Arsenal Youth Academy. And, you know, I used to have a friend that was in a Championship League team. So it wasn't like the most far-fetched thing ever, if that makes sense. And it wasn't really spoken about, but that was like the first thing that was a bit like, oh, okay. But that was just sort of where that ended. From that point on, it just got out of hand. And there's like, guys, there's hundreds and hundreds of things with this girl. I can literally pull up the receipts, but I'm just going to say all the things that like were the most like vivid ones, you know. A lot of the times, anything I would say about myself should be like, oh yeah, me too. Like, yeah, same for me. For example, around Easter time, now I'm Greek Cypriot. So in Greek culture, you have 2 Easters. So you have regular Easter and you have Greek Easter. So I was explaining this in the like group chat, like with our friends, like, oh yeah, like I have 2 separate Easters and stuff. And she was like, oh yeah, I'm Greek Cypriot too. And this girl had said she was from a lot of different places, except she catches herself out. So to my memory, I'm pretty sure she said that she was British, Australian, Greek and Indian, I think, I'm pretty sure. But then this is where she caught herself out. I've got the receipt. Me and my sister had been catching on to this girl for ages. She said so many things and me and my sister were like, this is weird. So first here she says, too many. So my dad is British and Indian and he was born and brought up in Italy, blah, blah, blah. My mum is Spanish, Aussie and Greek, okay? But in another message, she says that her dad is Australian and British when her mum is meant to be Australian, and that her mum is Spanish, Greek and Indian. Oh, Spanish came from somewhere as well. So it's like, you've just said that your mum's Australian, but now suddenly your dad's Australian. It's like, you've almost like forgot your lies sort of thing. And it just got to the point where everything that came out of this girl's mouth was not true, like, or it didn't seem to be true. And she jumped from one thing to another, like, it just didn't make sense. For example, when it was near Easter time, I said, oh, like, you know, I'm celebrating Easter because I'm Christian. And she was like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian too, I'm celebrating Easter. But then, literally, you're talking in the same day, one of my friends that I work with is Muslim. So she was like, oh yeah, I'm celebrating Eid. And she was like, oh yeah, I'm celebrating Eid too because I'm a Muslim. But you just said that you was a Christian. I was like, what? It was like she based her personality and hobbies off of other people that we worked with. For example, this one girl, let's call her Ellie, she was speaking about her like dance career, like she used to do dance when she was younger and stuff like that. Then Ava, the liar, comes out of nowhere and she's like, oh yeah, I used to do professional dance. And I was like, but aren't you a footballer? So like that's a big difference. She's like, oh yeah, I used to do dance when I was like really young, when I was like 4. I was like, okay, fair enough. However, this is when it just gets stupid. Me and Ellie are both ex-dancers. Me specifically, I'm an ex-competitive dancer, right? So I know my stuff. This girl then says, oh yeah, I had like the work. It was so weird as well because she would literally make up these lies when there wasn't even a need to. Like, no one's even asking you, like, not being rude. She like went on this long tangent and was like, oh yeah, I used to have like the worst dance coach ever. She made me go on point when I was 4. What? If you guys know dance or just, you know, have any awareness of dance, on point is in ballet when you have the on point shoes that you're literally on the tips of your toes, okay? On your tips. You literally cannot legally be on point until 12, I'm pretty sure. You can literally break your bones, like, if you was to do it before the age required. And we said this to her and she was like, yeah, she just like got away with it. And we were like, well, you know, how did you get on point? Because if you're in the dance industry, you know you get nothing for free. Free does not exist. You buy all of your shoes. Sometimes you buy your costumes. Like, it is very much an expensive hobby. Now, she claimed that her mum didn't know about this because I was like, surely your mum would go crazy if she knew that your dance coach was illegally putting you on point shoes. She was like, no, my mum didn't know. I was like, okay, so how'd you get the point shoes then? She was like, my teacher gave them to me. I was like, no, she didn't. Like, point shoes and any dance shoes for that matter, but especially point shoes, are so expensive, especially for an actual decent pair. Like, babe, you're not getting gifted that at 4 years old, but whatever you say. Then it got to a point, guys, where I can't even explain it. It was just getting ridiculous. Like, every second of the day, there is another lie, another lie, another lie. If you want me to do a whole video where I show you, like, all of the screenshots, I can do that, because, like, there's things that aren't coming to mind. So me and my sister started taking this seriously. Me and my sister was invested in this, okay, because my sister helps with my work, right? So there was this one day, and she sent this picture of herself. Now, she claimed that she was 15, 16. That changed as well. 1 minute she said she was 15, another minute she said she was 16. She sent a photo of this girl, okay, that she claimed to be her. To this day, I still don't think it's her, but I guess we'll never know. They just looked too old for a 15, 16-year-old. Now, this was near around Easter time. She claimed that she was from Birmingham. She didn't have a Birmingham accent. She said she grew up there her whole life, and she said that was due to the fact that she came from a bilingual household, okay? So it was never really questioned. But she would always make the effort to, like, show places that she had been in Birmingham. Specifically, I don't know if I'm saying this right, I'm sorry, like Birmingham Botanical Gardens, something like that. So she sends this image of herself and she's like, yep, at Birmingham Botanical Gardens. And me and my sister were just like, that is not England. Like, literally, it literally looked like it was, I don't know, one of the hottest countries ever. So me and my sister did some investigating. We did a little reverse Google image search, okay, because we were like, is she using like an influencer's pictures or something? Like, we don't know, right? Now, we never actually found the photo specifically that she sent, which is why I'm like, I still don't know whether that was her to this day. But it wasn't Birmingham Botanical Gardens. It was a like garden centre in Dubai. And I just straight up called this girl out. I was like, isn't that Dubai Digital Garden? And she was like, no. Call us crazy. Me and my sister were invested in this. We knew that this wasn't true. Like, we've literally seen Google images of this place online, and like also compared it next to Birmingham Botanical Gardens, however you say it. They literally were the complete opposite things. We just let her have it. We was like, okay, well. Then you're talking a few weeks later, she said that she was going on holiday to Singapore. Now, this girl was meant to be 15, 16, okay? She said that her boyfriend had bought her tickets to Singapore. I was like, how old is this boyfriend? She goes, my age. I was like, what 15, 16-year-old has got the money to be buying their girlfriend tickets to Singapore? And that's just not happening, is it? Like, now, remember that girl I told you about, the Botanical Gardens photo? We never knew if that was her, but she would always send images and it was always that girl. So it got to a point, it was like, maybe that is her, but we don't know. When this girl goes to Singapore, she sends an image of a girl that has a completely different body type and is literally a different ethnicity. I called her out on it and things got worse from there. I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to give you guys a part 2.
One of my managers got fired for being a pervert and the other one got fired for being a cokehead. I had like a 4-month side quest job when I used to work at a restaurant in LA called Lemonade, and it was literally the weirdest phase of my entire life. Well, right away, I understood that the manager, which was a guy, he was really strange and weird, and I kept my distance from him, but he also always did those weird like maneuvers when like he would move behind you and like grab your waist or said weird things. I was 19, he was 28. He got fired for harassing a 17-year-old girl that I worked with, and I remember when she didn't want to report the situation because, I don't know, I think she was scared and she didn't want to speak up or whatever reason. I did it for her and I just made my GM like aware of the situation. The GM also had a vendetta against me. I don't know why the GM hated me for some reason. And I told her and she started freaking out. She flipped out. She goes, what's going on? Like, what do you mean? And I found out it's because a girl that worked before me apparently reported this guy and nothing came out of it, and because the GM didn't believe her. So then when I reported the situation for my friend, she started flipping out. She took it to like HR. She made it a big deal, and then he got fired. So this woman thought she was getting a promotion, and then she got demoted basically because that guy got fired. Someone needed to take his place, so they gave it to her. She went crazy. Like, she started treating everyone horribly, but especially me. Like, if there was absolutely no one in the restaurant and we were all just like hanging out talking, she would specifically come up to me and be like, Sophia, why are you just standing around doing nothing? And then she would write me up. She was singling me out and making me hate my job for like 2 months until I decided I'm gonna quit. And I found out literally a week after I quit, she got fired because she was doing like lines inside the restaurant. And I got like a little BH because I could have continued my job. She was just making my job miserable for me. And the weirdest thing of it all is like 2 or 3 years later, after my job, I get a Snapchat ad from her. Like, a friend added you, like your contact added you, and it was her. I was like, what does she want from me? I instantly denied it. Like, I literally want nothing to do with her because she made me so miserable there. The combination between the predator manager and the cokehead manager made me stay away from the food industry for good.
Now, you see, when we talk about jealousy and envy, a lot of people don't understand it really is that deep. Because when I tell you jobs have been lost over this, bro, like, I'm going to tell y'all a story on how I got fired due to a jealous coworker, okay? So once upon a time, I used to work at a golf club, okay? And I was a waitress there. And mind you, I was the only black girl that was working there. Like, I think there was one mixed girl there, but she was visibly mixed. I was the only visibly monoracial black girl there, okay? Only dark skin there, all right? So at this golf club, it was a no tipping golf club, okay? So they paid us a high hourly rate, but we weren't supposed to get tips. However, the golf club members, they would still tip based on like who you are and if they like you or not, okay? They would just do it in a low-key way, like leave it under your tray or like give you a handshake or whatever and like hand you the money. So basically, one day, me and all the waitresses were sitting in the break room, right? And we're going to call the jealous coworker Sandy, okay? And I just want to point out, Sandy was a white girl, okay? So, anyways, Sandy asked everybody in the break room, do you guys get tips? Because I have not seen a tip ever since I've been working here. Like, I thought clubs like this normally do it in a low-key way, but I haven't seen a tip since I've been here. So everybody in the break room is like, no, I haven't gotten tipped. I haven't seen a tip either. I don't know what's going on. These guys are cheap as fuck. And of course, I really should have shut my mouth, but I opened my mouth and I'm like, I get tipped every night. So Sandy's like, really? I'm like, yeah. She's like, how much do you get tipped? I'm like, it depends. Like, I bring home maybe like 40 to 100 on a weekday. On a really good night, sometimes I'll get like 150 to 200 in tips. So Sandy's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So after that, Sandy was like really weird to me for the rest of our shift. Like, just being like a high school mean girl, right? And the next week, I was not on the schedule. And at first, I was like, okay, maybe they're just overstaffed. But then another week passed. And then another week passed. And then another month passed. And then another year passed. And then another year passed. And then I realized, damn, I was really fired right after I told Sandy that I was getting tips. And then later, I found out that she was the one that snitched to management and told them that I was getting tipped. So I'm like, how the hell are you going to snitch on me for getting tips when you wanted to get tipped? Just some jealous ass shit. Like, you mad because it's not you. You feel me? Yeah, like, when I talk about jealousy and envy, bro, like, people think it's not that deep because it's like, oh, it's just a feeling. No, it's not just a feeling. People act on that shit. People act on that shit, and, like, jobs have dead ass been lost over this shit.
If those coworkers are worried about what time you're coming back from your break, we need to get them some stuff to do. They need to ask themselves 3 things. Are they getting paid enough to worry about that? Is the person doing the job they need to do? And is their work getting done appropriately before they're worried about the next person? Going in with some Pro Longwear concealer on a small brush to clean up the brows. I'm being serious. A lot of people like to micromanage in the workplace. I understand when you're frustrated because people aren't doing their job and they're leaving you with the mess. That's rarely the case. Some people just want this control over what their team's doing, how long their breaks are, what time they're coming in. Like, it's the manager's job to manage the team. If the manager has no problem with it because most likely the work is getting done, well, why does this other employee care so much? I think it's especially irritating when you know it's an employee that doesn't even know how to do their own job, yet they're for some reason worried about your job. We're gonna go in with 24-hour eye base. You guys are barely getting paid enough to do one job, yet here someone is wanting to do the role of somebody else. I'm gonna start off with texture in the crease with a fluffy brush. I was in a leadership role. I was constantly hearing other employees complain about their coworkers. And I think a lot of times as a leader, you have to put these employees kind of in their place. And you're not necessarily trying to shut down the, like, if you see something, say something kind of thing. You know what everybody's doing. You know what workload they have. That's something that you as a manager should know what's going on, and not something that your employees should be managing for you. I dipped into these 2 colors here and I just kind of like defined the crease a little bit. The funny part of this too is that they usually think that you're also concerned with what they're doing when you really don't care. You have no desire to care. You don't get paid enough to care. You're minding your business. You're clocking in. You're getting that check. That's all you care about. Dip into this burgundy kind of reddish toned eyeshadow, and we're just going to put this on the outer corner and just kind of like buff it into everything. And I'm specifically talking about like corporate culture, corporate life, office life. A lot of times when somebody steps away from their desk, there's like this thing where people feel like, okay, why are they always away from their desk? It's okay to step away from your desk. It's not like the end of the world. I have mentality that anybody that's like away from their desk for too long, like they're not doing their job. A lot of times they're working really hard and they just need a minute to like regroup and reset. I'm gonna go in with some NYX glitter glue and a little bit of the copper glitter from MAC. Might stop about here. So now I'm gonna go in with like a darker shade here. Went in with a little bit of that red color and I'm dipping it into the black. I'm adding some black onyx from Melt on the outer corner. And while I'm sitting over here minding my business, unlike some of those coworkers, I'm curling my lashes and putting on my mascara. Then I'm gonna go in with the Siren Lash. I did the rest of the face. I'm gonna go in with mascara on the lower lashes. Remember, coworker besties, just because you work at that corporate job doesn't mean your makeup needs to be boring. Have a wonderful day.
Get ready with me while I talk about being married at 19. Trigger warning, this is a sad story. I was 19 years old. I had only worked a bunch of like fast food jobs, and I had gotten my first like real big girl job as a salesperson at a Verizon wireless store, and I was so excited to have that job. But pretty much everybody that worked there was like a lot older than me, had more like life experience, had gone to college. You know, I was working with a lot of older people, and it was mostly men in sales positions. There weren't a lot of girls there, so I was one of the only girls working on the floor. So when you're the new girl and you're young and pretty, I felt like a lot of the guys there would be like really flirty towards me, and you know, there's that aspect when you're working as one of the only women in like a male dominated situation. And I pretty much, you know, didn't pay any attention. Like, you know, as a woman, you get used to men flirting with you. But there was one particular man who was just very persistent. He'd gotten my number. We had been texting a while, for a few weeks. And eventually one night he texted me and was like, let's go out and get something to eat. Let's go to, I can't remember what it was. It was like Buffalo Wild Wings or Chili's or something. I don't know. So we go on our first date to Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever it was. So we go on a first date to Chili's or Buffalo Wild Wings, whatever it was. I can't remember. The date goes fine. I don't remember being like that wild about him, but I do remember he had picked me up from my house to go on the date. If you're a young lady watching this, don't let a man do that. But I let him pick me up from my house. So we were driving back home, and I remember he had stopped for a moment. I think we stopped at like a gas station because someone was calling him. And he got out of the car, and in a hushed tone, he was arguing with someone. And at the time, I didn't know who he was arguing with, but I would later find out that that was the mother of his child, and his baby was still very young, and they were kind of still involved, and our relationships kind of overlapped. But he was like in an argument with her literally on our first date. So
that was the first red flag. I ignored it, and we eventually start dating and going on more and more dates. And eventually after that, we start driving into work in the morning together, if you catch my drift. So we're dating, getting closer and closer. That goes on for about maybe like a month and a half or so. And then eventually Verizon hosts this big conference. It used to be called an all hands meeting. I'm not sure what it's called now, but it's basically like a big conference where all the regional stores would get together and have like a big party and celebrate the year and all that. And it was out of town. So they gave us money, reimbursement for us to drive out of town to go to the all hands meeting because I'm dating this guy who's my coworker. We drive into the all hands meeting together. We stay together in the hotel, blah, blah, blah. We did the whole trip together. Then I get back, a couple of days pass, and the worst thing ever happens. So when you work in Verizon, they give you a work phone. I got called into the office one day by my manager, and he was like, come to the office, bring your work phone. And I was a jokey girl. I was like, oh, I'm about to go make a call or something. And they're not joking back with me. I get into the office and there are 3 managers there. All of the managers from the store are sitting in the office, and I'm like, this can't be good. And they let me know, hey, Jenna, you're fired because you went to the all hands meeting and you requested reimbursement for your travel, but we found out that you actually traveled with, the guy I traveled with. I had no idea that I wasn't allowed to do that. I was completely blindsided. I was like, well, I'd never gone on a business trip before. I wasn't sure about the protocols. I was handed a slip to fill out to get reimbursed for like gas money or something. I can't even remember. But, apparently I wasn't supposed to do that, and they fired me. And then I go start driving home. The guy, my boyfriend at the time, who later became my husband, he is going into work, and he was going into work later than me. So he gets to the office, and surprise, surprise, he's fired too. Now, apparently they said they fired him because he was stealing phones. Although he was like not the best guy. I don't know if I 100% believe that, because if he was stealing iPhones, I feel like, wouldn't y'all have called the police? But they said he was stealing phones, so he was fired too. So now me and him are looking jobless and stupid for maybe like a month. We're looking for jobs. We're about to lose the townhouse. I think maybe he started to get worried that I would like go back to my mom's house and leave. So on a random day, one day, he just proposes to me. And like a dummy, I said yes to the proposal. So after about literally 3 months of dating, we get married. Now guys, I'm telling you guys this story, but I know that it doesn't make me look good. I know that that was not smart. I know that this is just a horrible story all around, but I'm just telling you guys what happened. So we go to a courthouse in Hinesville, Georgia. I'm wearing Adidas pants and a Victoria's Secret pink sweatshirt, and we elope. We don't tell anybody. I don't tell my mom. I don't tell my stepdad. He doesn't tell his people. We just go get married. And I get back home and I tell my mom that I got married, and she was just like, she thought I was kidding because I'm someone who's always like joking around. But then I showed her like my driver's license because I changed my driver's license, and she saw that it was real, and she was like, girl. But anyway, I'm a married woman now, so whatever. But now we don't have any jobs, so I'm like, we gotta make some money. And one day he's talking to his aunt, and his aunt was like, what would be a good idea? If you come to Macon, Georgia, live with me, I can get you guys a job working in insurance. And we really needed a job, and I'm sure he loved that I was like gonna be even more isolated. So we decided to move to Macon, Georgia. That would turn out to be like a huge mistake because I would be so isolated. But we decided to move from Savannah, Georgia to Macon, Georgia. We moved to Macon, we get our jobs. He's feeling good, he's making more money, but he starts going out more, meeting people, and he's drinking a lot. And I'm noticing like when he starts to drink, he can't just have one drink. He can't just have 2 drinks. He has to get plastered every time he drinks. And when he would drink, he would get violent. And that's kind of when he started to show a whole different side of himself. I'm close to 7 minutes, so I'm gonna have to do a part 2, y'all. Sorry.
Get ready with me to confront my coworkers at my night job. Let me backtrack a little bit. A couple of weeks ago, one of my coworkers came up to me and asked why I post so much on TikTok. I thought that she was genuinely interested, so I explained that I just want to grow my account like everybody else that does TikTok. Because what's wrong with having a little bit of motion on TikTok? Nothing is wrong with that, because apparently everybody and their mother is posting on TikTok. That's besides the point. I explained that to her and then she proceeds to say, good luck, because growing on TikTok is extremely hard. At this point, I really don't care what she is saying. What difference is it going to make in my life? I'm just like, okay, when you see me with a lot of followers, don't say anything. Some time goes by and another one of my coworker asks me if I have seen the group chat. I said no because I am not really that close with them. She shows me her phone and guess what I see? To my surprise, my coworkers have been posting my videos behind my back and putting captions, laughing at them, making fun of them, saying I'm never gonna grow. But none of them had the audacity to say it to my face. So since they want to say it behind my back, I'm telling you guys behind their back. Fair play, right? Anyway, since they love watching my TikToks, I hope that they see this and I hope it pops up on their For You page. Anyways, I'm getting ready to go to a Christmas event with my friend. I'm so excited. And then after, we're going to a rooftop bar. Sometimes I wonder, is my makeup a little too much or out there? And then I realize I don't give a fuck. Ooh, this is empty. This is the final look. The skirt is like so big on me, but it's okay.
Story time on how I found out my coworker was actually my secret hater. So when I first started this job, this is the girl that actually trained me. So like in the office, it was just basically me and her that worked and did more of like the finance stuff in the business. But somewhere along the lines, we kind of had a few staffing issues and her help was needed elsewhere. So I kind of started taking over some of her job functions. So Oksana starts opening up to me how she's getting treated really badly by our boss. So the way that the company is divided is that we actually have 3 bosses. One, it's like a husband and wife. Let's call her Jackie and Chan. And then there's another man. Let's call him Harry. And Harry has his own business, and then the husband and wife have their own business. And she's telling me how Chan is treating her really, really badly. And Oksana is telling me that she is not getting paid for like working her full amount of hours. Like for example, we're open on Saturdays and she's telling me like, you know, she doesn't get paid for them, and I'm freaking out. And she keeps telling me like she can't pay her rent, and she's getting kicked out of her apartment because she can't afford her rent because they're not paying her. So I'm like, oh my goodness, like we have to report them immediately. We need to talk to them, like what is going on. And every time that I had a solution, like for example, I'm like, let's go talk to them together, like I'll stick up for you, whatever, she would always brush it off and she's like, I'll handle it, whatever. And I'm like, okay. But obviously I don't like Chan because to me, I'm like, he's this meanie who is treating my poor Russian coworker like ish. So I'm kind of like giving him the cold shoulder, and I'm like, you know, he gives me the ick. And I had told Oksana this. I said, oh my goodness, he gives me the ick. I can't believe he would talk to a girl like that, aka her. Remember the ick part, guys, because it's going to be important later. But there were 2 instances where honestly bells should have been going off in my head that something's wrong with this girl, but I just didn't catch on. Weird thing number 1, so I had mentioned that me and her were the ones that worked in finance, aka we would handle the cash. And on Fridays, everyone knows I would leave early. That's my schedule. I would leave around 1 o'clock-ish. Anyway, a patient had paid with cash, and typically we would lock that up. Every single person knows that. That is proper cash handling procedures. But she went and put the cash in my drawer and kind of left it open. Mind you, she has a key to my drawer and I have a key to her drawer. So I have 2 keys and she has 2 keys. So she could have easily put it in my drawer if she wants to do that and lock it up. But she didn't. She put it in my drawer and left it open. So when I came into work the following Monday, Jackie and Chan are like, Svetlana, we need to have a meeting with you. We need to talk to you, whatever. I'm like, okay, what's up? And they're like, we found cash in your drawer. The drawer was open, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I didn't put any cash in there. And we tracked it because obviously there's a receipt attached to it. And that patient had come in like 2 hours after I already left. So there's no way I could have put the cash in my drawer. So I tell my bosses that, and they go and talk to Oksana, and they were like, why did you put it in Svetlana's drawer knowing she had already left? And she was kind of like, kind of like nothing, like had nothing to say. And they even asked her, like, why didn't you put it in your own drawer? And she's like, oh, because Svetlana would get mad at me and like yell at me, which is crazy, guys. I do not raise my voice at people, especially girls, maybe men, but not girls. But my Delulu ass just kind of brushed it off. And I was like, you know, it might have been a busy day. She might have forgotten, whatever. It's not her fault. Like, we'll just be more careful going forward. Weird instance number 2. One of the days that I came into work, there was a note on my computer from her saying, oh, Svetlana, you made this mistake, whatever. And I come into work and Jackie and Chan are like, oh, hey, Svetlana, you like made this mistake. Oksana told us. And I was like, no, I didn't, because I did not make a mistake, because I don't do that. I'm perfect. And I'm like, oh no, I didn't make a mistake. And I showed them and they're like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, you didn't make a mistake. And they like made a joke. They were like, yeah, like, haha. Oksana was like so happy and kind of like, oh, haha, Svetlana made a mistake. Like, happy, go jolly, skippity skip, Svetlana made a mistake. That kind of gave me a weird feeling, but I was like, okay, maybe they're just like exaggerating a little bit, because what person in their right mind would be happy that I made a mistake, you know? Nope, they weren't exaggerating. Anyways, last part before we move on to part 2, which is where the real tea starts. I come into work, it's a Friday. She pulls me aside. It's just me and her in the office at this time. No one is there yet, because we would get there earlier. And she's like, Svetlana, I'm putting in my notice today. Like, she's like teary-eyed, whatever. She's telling me how Chan is just being so mean to her. He's calling her, he's yelling at her, he's screaming at her, whatever. And basically, like, she even made a comment like, они в меня like ноги вытирают, which is like, basically like they treat me like a doormat, whatever. So she's telling me this, I'm putting in my notice today, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, stand up for yourself, queen, like, as you should, but you're so important here. Like, maybe you can negotiate a raise, like kind of like threaten them a little bit, whatever. So everyone else gets to work and the energy is kind of off, obviously. I'm not really speaking to Chan, and he picks up on that. So I think like a day goes by and I come into work the next morning and Jackie and Chan pull me aside. They're like, Svetlana, can we have a meeting with you quick? And I've been waiting for this. And first thing that Chan says to me is, so I give you the ick, huh? Like for part 2.